I'm Eric Anderson. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, desperate searches and tearful reunions in Oklahoma a day after a massive tornado tore a town apart. Union members walk off the job at UC San Diego's medical center and its sister hospitals across the state. We'll look at the dispute and how hospitals are making sure patients keep getting the care they need.
Teachers are moving from the chalkboard to the whiteboard as technology becomes part of our everyday life. We'll tell you how San Diego schools are incorporating 21st century technology that's allowing students to stay ahead of the curve.
Also tonight, we'll show you how some teenagers in City Heights are going the distance to keep their track program running. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Erwin Jacobs and by
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Dwayne Brown is off tonight. Emergency crews searched the broken remnants of an Oklahoma City suburb today looking for survivors of a massive tornado that flattened homes and demolished an elementary school. At least 24 people were killed, including at least 9 children. We'll have the latest from John Moan of the Associated Press.
The determination and desperation to find survivors. Crews spread out across the ruins of Plaza Towers Elementary School in Moore, Oklahoma, mostly flattened by a powerful tornado.
20 seconds later, the tornado hit, and I just saw the roof, and it was just going. Like, it's just, as soon as it was there, it was gone.
8-year-old Anthony Garcia says he huddled with classmates inside the school's bathrooms while the twister drove right through the buildings.
It was just really loud. It was like a roaring at us. It was like a train. It just kept going.
His stepfather rushed over to the school.
I just yelled out for him, and he just came out from behind us. Like, I guess behind the building or behind the rubble or whatever it was, because it wasn't a school when I saw it.
It's not the only school that was hit. David Wheeler scrambled to find his son Gabriel at Briarwood Elementary.
Couldn't find Gabe, and just in the next 3.5 hours is the worst thing that went through my life.
Gabriel says his teacher protected him and other students.
It was really hard. I thought I was going to die because I was lifted up in the air. My glasses fell off.
At least 9 children were killed as a result of the tornado. Authorities say the overall death toll could climb above 24. Throughout this Oklahoma City suburb, people prepared for another harrowing day. Many packed whatever they could find from their heavily damaged homes.
You never think it was going to happen to you, and it does happen.
The National Weather Service says the twister brought winds up to 190 miles per hour. Crews had trouble finding their way through neighborhoods because the force ripped off street signs. Debris blocked roads. The storm tore apart this community, but out of the tragedy are stories of survival.
And I just held him. I couldn't let go. I cried, because that's my baby.
Describe what it was like when you saw your daddy.
I loved it.
It's the best feeling.
On May 3rd, 1999, a catastrophic tornado also tore through this suburb. Most people refer to it by the date only, May 3rd. Well, in summing up the latest storm, the local paper put in the banner headline, "Worse than May 3rd." John Moan, Associated Press, Moore, Oklahoma.
California is sending 6 specially trained urban search and rescue workers to help in Oklahoma. They're from fire departments in LA and Orange County and from Oakland and Sacramento. The State Emergency Management Agency says it is ready to send more help if it's needed. More than 2,000 union workers at UC San Diego Medical Center traded in their uniforms for picket signs today. They're part of a strike at 5 UC medical facilities across the state. The union's John Noonan says workers are worried the UC system isn't doing enough to protect patient care.
32! 32! 32! 32! 32! 32!
If you need a shunt put in your heart, our members are taking care of that. If you need an MRI to determine, what your illness is, our members take care of that as well. So they're on strike to make sure that those parts are properly funded, that they're properly staffed, and that people get the care that they deserve.
Noonan says union workers want to make sure enough people are hired to do the job. He says the strike will end immediately if patient care is compromised. The last contract expired in September. Noonan says the walkout happened because of a lack of serious contract negotiations. The union hopes to get the system's attention.
97% of our members voted to authorize this strike, and it is, patient care that drives them, and that's the only issue that's going to drive them out there at that rate.
So what the workers are talking about is primarily patient care issues, but hospital officials say that this dispute is actually about pensions.
The University of California pension plan is about $26 billion underfunded, and the university has taken steps, as any organization would have to do, to restore the fiscal solvency of the pension plan. Specifically, employees have been asked to increase their contributions.
Tom McAfee is the Dean of Clinical Affairs for the UC San Diego Medical Center. He says 8 other unions have already accepted the pension concessions, and AFSCME is the only holdout. McAfee says the facility is doing everything possible to make sure patient safety is not compromised during the strike. That includes spending $2 million to help hire temporary workers. He says certain services are being postponed.
More than 120 elective surgeries and 350 radiologic procedures have been canceled and need to be rescheduled. While the strike is 2 days, the negative impact on patients will last for weeks.
A senior UC official says the 2-day strike will cost the system somewhere in the neighborhood of $20 million. McAfee says that will have no impact on contract talks. A key figure in the family of a woman killed by the Border Patrol agent last year has filed a wrongful death suit against the agency. Monique Tachikin Alvarado was shot through the window of her car. The Border Patrol says she rammed the agent while trying to get away from a raid in Chula Vista. Her family claims the agent who shot her was not properly screened before he was hired, and they say they don't believe the investigation into Alvarado's death will be unbiased. Of course, a key figure in that Internal Revenue Service controversy plans to take the fifth if she appears at a congressional hearing tomorrow. Lois Lerner is the IRS official who first revealed the agency was singling out conservative groups for extra scrutiny in their applications for tax-exempt status. In a letter to Congressman Darrell Issa, her attorney says his client has not committed any crime, but there is no choice but to invoke her constitutional right not to testify. Issa is chair of the House Oversight Committee, which is holding tomorrow's hearing. Today, a former IRS commissioner told another panel that he knew about the targeting about a year ago. Douglas Schulman says he had a partial set of facts last spring, and he knew the Inspector General was looking into the matter, and so he didn't tell Congress. Schulman says he didn't realize the scope of the issue until the IG report came out last week. Tea Party activists staged a protest outside the downtown Federal Building today. It was one of many protests held around the country.
That this is not what America stands for. It is not to use power to take advantage of the IRS and to quell natural enthusiasm in the grassroots movement.
Vicky Padula says targeting particular groups is wrong no matter what their political leaning. Today's protests were organized by the Tea Party Patriots, which said the IRS controversy is increasing sympathy for their cause. It's Election Day in San Diego. Voters in the city's 4th City Council district go to the polls to select a new representative. Myrtle Cole and Dwayne Crenshaw are running for that seat, which has been empty since former Councilman Tony Young resigned to become CEO of the local Red Cross. And in the 80th Assembly District, voters will choose either Steve Castaneda or Lorena Gonzalez. That seat was left open when Ben Hueso moved from the State Assembly to the State Senate. It's also an election day in Los Angeles. Voters are picking a new mayor there. The candidates are both Democrats, Councilman Eric Garcetti and Controller Wendy Gruhl. She would be LA's first female mayor if she manages to win. LA voters are also deciding on 3 medical marijuana initiatives. Proposition D puts a cap on collectives open before 2007 and raises taxes. Prop E limits the collectives with no new taxes, and Prop F would raise taxes and create new controls on pot shop workers. The measure with the most votes would win if it gets a majority. Turnout is expected to be low, however, with just 1 in 4 eligible voters showing up at the polls. Could San Diego voters see Carl DeMaio's name on the congressional ballot next year? Our media partner 10 News says it got a tip. The former San Diego councilman plans to challenge Scott Peters in the 52nd district. DeMaio told the station he hasn't decided yet. Last year he did run for mayor and lose, and since then he's focused on government reform through private foundations. Unpaid parking tickets are about to get very pricey in Imperial Beach. The city council there has approved a new collection fee equal to 35% of the cost of the original ticket. It will be tacked on if the ticket isn't paid within 30 days. So with late fees and the new collection fee, a ticket that originally cost $53 would shoot up to $156. The new fee is expected to take effect on July 1st.
We pay all the taxes we owe, every single dollar. We not only comply with the laws, but we comply with the spirit of the laws. We don't depend on tax gimmicks.
Apple CEO Tim Cook on Capitol Hill today, answering charges the company avoids taxes by shifting profits to foreign affiliates. A Senate committee report says that Apple avoided about $9 billion in taxes last year through loopholes in the tax code. Cook says that Apple is the nation's largest corporate taxpayer, and he says the foreign affiliates manage cash that's earned overseas. This year, the San Diego Diocese will see its third Catholic school close in as many years. The plan to shutter Sacred Heart Academy in Ocean Beach reflects a national trend as parochial schools face higher expenses and changing beliefs along with changing demographics. KPBS reporter Tom Fudge asked if it's a trend that can be turned around here in San Diego.
The school grounds of Sacred Heart were alive this past Sunday as parents and school kids attended a barbecue to honor the school. But the festive veneer concealed the sad fact that brought people together on this day.
Sacred Heart Academy has been here since 1950, but this spring will be its final semester.
That pulls at the hearts of parents like Erin Robinson.
Sacred Heart, it has been a family for us.
And at the hearts of kids like 6th grader Sophia DiFabrizio.
I don't really know what I would do without the school. I met my best friend here. I've known a lot of people here since kindergarten, and it's just, I love it here, and I don't want it to go.
But it will go now that Father Ron Hebert, leader of the parish, has decided it is time to close the school after years of troubles. Those troubles came down to falling enrollment and shortage of money. School principal Maria Tollefson says some parents had offered to try to raise money to pay off the school's debt.
But, you know, to me that would have been probably just a Band-Aid, you know, and then what would you do for next year? You know, we have a graduating class of 27. And our lower grades are much lower. We only have 8 in kindergarten.
That shortage of tuition-paying students reflects a national trend. While the San Diego Diocese is closing 1 school this year, the New York Archdiocese is closing 24. The people I spoke with said many Catholic families no longer feel an obligation to give their kids a parochial education. Now that nuns no longer teach the classes, schools have to hire lay teachers and pay a livable wage. Schools also face many changing demographics.
When you talk to people who sent their kids here years and years and years ago, I mean, it was more like a family community. Ocean Beach is not that anymore.
You can add to that the competition from public schools and a yearly tuition cost of $5,700 per kid at Sacred Heart, where the current enrollment is 138 students. Typically, an enrollment of at least 200 is needed to make ends meet. Maria Tollefson was brought in as principal less than a year ago to try to turn the school around, and she says she's disappointed she wasn't given more time to raise enrollment. But Father Hebert at the nearby Sacred Heart Church said time was running out faster than he imagined.
We did not know how much we would be bleeding money, And that became very, very clear by December. That was not clear last summer when Mrs. Tollefson was, when she was hired.
Hebert said the closing of Sacred Heart Academy is bittersweet, a time of loss and a time of thanksgiving for the good education it's provided in the past. But students like Michael and Nadell were hard-pressed to see the bright side.
When I found out the school was closing, I was actually at Disneyland, and it kind of ruined the whole time there.
Parents who choose Catholic education are looking for an affordable private education with a religious message and a strong system of discipline that maintains classroom order. But is there a better way to ensure the system's financial moorings? Sacred Heart parent David Shepard says the San Diego Diocese needs to do more.
Yeah, I definitely believe that the diocese should take a more active role. I think we're closing way too many Catholic schools, and I think if they were to have more proactive approach to the schools, I don't think you'd see these schools closing.
The San Diego Diocese, which now oversees 44 K-8 schools, has appointed a committee to study the financial sustainability of Catholic education. People are hoping for a more pro-education stance from incoming Bishop Cirilo Flores. He would not comment for this story. Sacred Heart Principal Tollefson said San Diego parishes without schools should share the financial burden of keeping schools in the black.
The church will keep the school campus for confirmation classes and to house its preschool. But Catholic education, as so many of us have known it, is soon to be part of only the history of Ocean Beach. Tom Fudge, KPBS News.
The South Bay Union School District has picked a new superintendent. Dr. Katie McNamara is currently an assistant principal in Solana Beach. She'll be paid $180,000 a year in that new job. South Bay Union trustees are set to formally approve her contract on Thursday. The previous superintendent, Dr. Carol Parrish, is retiring. Technology is rapidly changing and schools are trying to keep up. Some San Diego schools are not only keeping up, they're actually leading the way when it comes to interactive learning. Some of them will be honored this week for their commitment to incorporate 21st century technology into teaching. And Amitha Sharma has a look.
Most educators agree that technology skills are vital to American students if they're to compete in the global economy. Toward that end, San Diego County schools are incorporating iPads, interactive whiteboards, and netbooks into their lesson plans. I'm joined by San Diego Unified School District's incoming superintendent, Cindy Martin, and Bruce Bruszewski, executive director of the nonprofit Classroom of the Future Foundation. So, Superintendent Martin, let's start with you. You're about to receive the Impact Award from Bruce's nonprofit for incorporating technology. How exactly is technology being used in the classroom at San Diego Unified?
We have a program, we call it the I-21 program, that's pretty incredible, that has made sure that we put technology in every single classroom across the district. San Diego Unified is the second largest district in the state, so we're talking about over 4,000 classrooms, making sure in a 5-year initiative that students have access to the interactive whiteboards. The Promethean boards are the ones that we're using, and the netbooks and the iPads. But what's unique about this, and why I think we're being recognized through the Impact Award, is the impact that we're making is across the entire system. A district as large as ours, making sure that we're not just putting technology into students' hands. We have training, ongoing training for our teachers to make sure that they know how to use this technology to transform learning in the classroom. It's not a technology program, it's a learning and access and equity program that's making a tremendous difference closing the digital divide in our large urban district.
Bruce, what specific technology skills do students need to compete in the global marketplace?
Well, it's pretty apparent when you just watch teenagers, for example, using all the devices that they have. But most of the skills that will help students compete are related to technology, whether they're cell phone type devices, computer devices, software programs, gamification, which is one of the programs that we're recognizing as well at our Innovation Awards program. So the skill set really does relate to digital literacy, communication skills, the kinds of skills that students are going to need in the workplace to compete, as you alluded to, in a global marketplace.
So students need these technology skills, but how has technology transformed how teachers teach?
That's what happens with our program with professional development. We're teaching teachers how to develop lessons using the smartboard technology and how to be interactive with your lessons. So you're getting feedback right away. When you teach a lesson, you can actually put it out to the students and see right away who learned it, who didn't, because you're getting answers from students in the context of that lesson. You're not waiting to grade the paper till the next day or take the test and see what happens later. You're actually getting feedback on an ongoing basis. That's one transformation. The other transformation is the way students use the technology to demonstrate their knowledge. They're creating, it's not just PowerPoints, they're making videos and audio presentations and getting up on the interactive whiteboard and drawing what they're thinking and using things like thinking maps in an interactive way. And the classroom lessons are flipped. Students are taking computers home, watching the lesson be delivered at home by the teacher in a video presentation, come to the classroom and work collaboratively.
Is technology also, though, closing the gap between students from low-income families and middle-class kids?
Absolutely. I've just left the principalship at Central Elementary, which is a school with 100% poverty and 85% English learners. What happens in a classroom with 85% English learners when you have technologies, you have students who are learning English, are able to actively engage in their lessons because of the use of technology. Everybody has something that they need to show what they know using this technology.
Bruce, tomorrow your Classroom for the Future Foundation will hand out awards to schools across the county for using technology in the classroom. What are other schools outside of San Diego Unified doing?
Yes, there are several. One is a program called the Pride Academy in Santee, which is focused on project-based learning, where students work collaboratively using technology to do research, to create multimedia presentations and things of that sort, mostly focused on projects. Very different learning experience, very different teaching experience than a traditional classroom. We're also recognizing a program around professional development, where the teachers used video conferencing to interact with experts in a particular field around Common Core standards. And that district is being recognized for the fact that they did this on a regular basis throughout the entire year with every single teacher, that they could stay in their local school and have this professional development experience via video conference.
Very quickly, are there some schools that are still in the dark ages when it comes to computers?
Well, you know, there are fewer and fewer all the time. It seems that the students are keeping everyone kind of abreast of the technology, so it's growing pretty rapidly, actually.
Okay.
The trend is in that direction.
We've got to close it there. Bruce, Cindy, thanks for coming on the program.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next News Hour, the Senate turns its focus to the IRS controversy. That's Tuesday on the PBS News Hour.
Quick correction to a story we told you a moment ago about Katie McNamara, the incoming superintendent for South Bay Union School District. I said she was currently a principal in Solana Beach, actually currently an assistant superintendent. Our apologies for that error. The Super Bowl is coming back to California in 2016, but not to San Diego. Super Bowl 50 is going to be held in the San Francisco Bay Area at the 49ers' new stadium in Santa Clara. Facebook may be losing its cool among teenagers. A new poll says that teens still use Facebook, but many are moving to Twitter instead. The teenagers say they're avoiding oversharing on Facebook and avoiding mom and dad as well. It is illegal for California schools to make parents foot the bill for school sports. In City Heights, it's usually not an option anyway. Many families struggle just to make ends meet. So Hoover High School's cross-country and track team started a nonprofit to raise thousands of dollars each year. As part of our Speak City Heights collaborative, teen video journalist Oscar Perez gives us a look at City Heights runners.
These runners on Hoover Heights track team set high goals for themselves. Student athletes here maintain an average 3.5 grade point average or better and work towards their personal records. But this drive to be the best in academics and sports comes at a price. Statewide budget cuts to education and sports affect programs like Hoover's. Distance runner Cristobal Navarrete is one of about 50 athletes on the team. He goes that extra mile to keep the track program running.
It's really important for me to fundraise because I really understand the meaning of running, and I really want to be big in the field of running.
After school programs, like those at Hoover High School, cost money, and that can be a big problem for some City Heights residents.
Come on, guys, we're waiting on you.
Distance track coach Chris Brewster says the team must raise around $14,000 a year to sustain its track program. That's about $300 per student on the team, something that most City Heights families can't afford.
A lot of parents in our community, there's a lot of people working multiple jobs, and so they can't write big parent booster checks to support the program. But we've had parents help contribute in yard sales. We've had parents do bake sales. We've had parents contribute in little ways that they can to fund our program over the years.
Brewster says program costs and budget cuts don't worry him or his team. He says Hoover's cross-country and track team use its own dedicated nonprofit, City Heights Runners, to raise most of its funds for the team. Its recent 5K race at Chola's Lake Park attracted over 200 participants and generated over $2,500 after first-time race equipment costs. Freshman Anadela Navarrete says community involvement makes it possible to meet their individual and team goals to succeed on and off the track.
We need to let other people know about what we're doing here and how it's good for us, and it's good, it's going to impact the community, like right now.
In City Heights, Oscar Perez, Media Arts Center, San Diego.
Oscar Perez is one of the students learning video journalism in the Media Arts Center's Teen Producers Project. In the weather, cloudy skies coming back to San Diego. Look for coastal temperatures in the 60s. It'll be cloudy and warmer for the inland valleys, temperatures in the 70s. Sunny in the mountains, 70-degree temperatures there as well, and sunny and hot in the deserts. You can find tonight's stories and download the KPBS app all on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening.